everyone, so today I'm going to show you how to make this really cute pencil case that can also be used as a makeup bag. It's really perfect to keep all of your things organized, like your pencils, your pens, your highlighters, or everything you need to be ready for school. On the topic of being organized, I want to thank today's sponsor, Skillshare. I've been struggling to keep my schedule organized, so I recently took a class on Skillshare to help me solve this problem. Skillshare is the largest online learning community tailored for creatives, offering an incredible range of topics from graphic design, crafting, photography, freelancing, and beyond. With thousands of classes available that you can learn at your own pace, Skillshare supports all skill levels from beginners just starting out to advanced learners looking to refine their craft. Classes are led by industry experts who are passionate about sharing their knowledge and techniques. With Skillshare's Learn by Doing approach, members can apply what they've learned by completing projects and sharing them with the community for feedback. Recently, I improved my organizational skills through a learning path where I learned how to create a schedule/to-do list on Notion. The classes were so helpful and I was able to create this cute and aesthetic list for my content ideas. Learning something new naturally comes with the fall season, so it's the perfect time for you to pick up a new hobby or develop a new skill. And there's even business and marketing classes if you're looking into starting your own crochet business. I wanted to let you guys know that the first 500 people to use my link in the description will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. So again, thank you Skillshare for sponsoring this video, and let's get started with the tutorial. To make this project, you're going to need some yarn. The yarn that I'm using is from a brand Hobby. It's 100% cotton and it's a super fine yarn. And I did use about 150 grams of yarn for the whole project. I just want to add that I do use 2 strands of yarn at the same time to make this project. Because of that, I'm going to use a 3.5mm hook. You're also going to need some ribbon. You're also going to need some magnetic buttons. I'm going to use 2, but you can really use as many as you want. You're then going to need some stitch markers, a darning needle to weave in the ends, and a pair of scissors, and that's pretty much it. So we can get started with the tutorial. So as I said earlier, I'm going to be working with 2 strands of yarn of super fine yarn. So we're going to start by making a slip knot. So I'm going to roll my yarn on my 2 fingers like this, making an X shape. I'm then going to take my hook and pass it underneath here and grab the yarn over here. Then you can turn your fingers and take them off and pull. You can then pull again to adjust it to your hook. The next step is that we're going to chain 16. So you're going to yarn over and pull through. That's 1 chain here. The loop on your hook does not count as a chain. Yarn over, pull through. That's 2. Yarn over, pull through. 3, 4, 5. So do this until you have 16 chains on your hook. So now I'm done making my 16 chains. And now we're gonna work on the back bars. So this is the front of your chain. If you turn it on the back like this, there's little bumps, as you can see, and we're going to crochet in those. So again, this is the front. We're gonna turn our work and work on the back bars. So the first thing we're going to do is that we're going to skip the first back bar and insert our hook in the second one. So skip this one here and insert your hook in the second one. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through 2 to make a single crochet. So here we have our first single crochet. We're gonna go to the next back bar, insert our hook in there, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Here we have our second single crochet, and we're gonna do this all across. So next back bar, make a single crochet. Next back bar, single crochet. Next back bar, single crochet. So go ahead and do this all across. So here I have 1 last stitch to make. And now I'm done with row 1. So in total here, you're supposed to have 15 single crochets. To start row 2, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. Now on this second row, we're going to make 15 single crochets, but in the back loop only. So we're going to skip the chain one here we just made and insert our hook in the back loop of the first stitch. So skip this one and insert your hook in the back loop of the first stitch like this and make a single crochet. Go on to the next back loop, make a single crochet, next back loop, single crochet, and you're going to do this all across. Alright, so I have one last stitch to make. And here I'm done with row 2. So to start row 3, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. We're now going to start the thermal stitch. So the thermal stitch is really easy, it's just a variation of the single crochet. So we're going to skip the chain we just made and insert our hook in the back loop of the first stitch. And we're also going to go and insert our hook in the loop right below it, over here. So let me just restart this. So this is right now the front and this is the back of the work. We're going to skip the chain, insert our hook in the back loop here, in the back loop, and right below it on the other side is another loop. So front, back, we are going to yarn over and pull through the 2 little loops here, and you're left off with 2 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and pull through these 2. You're going to repeat this all across. So let's go to the next back loop. Let's go to the loop that's right below it. So this is the front, this is the back. You're going to yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through 2. Again, back loop, go to the loop right below it, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through 2. Again, back loop, loop right below, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Next back loop and loop right below, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through 2. So go ahead and repeat this all across your row. So I have one last stitch to make here, here and here, like this. So here we're done with our first row of thermal stitches, and we have a total of 79 rows of thermal stitches to make. So we already made 1, so we have 78 more to go, and we're basically just going to repeat what we just did for row 3 over and over again until we're done with all of our rows. So let me show you how to start a new row again. So chain 1, turn your work, and we're basically just going to repeat the same thing as in row 3. Go ahead and skip the chain you just made, insert your hook in the back loop and in the loop right below it, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through 2. Again, next back loop, insert your hook in the loop right below, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Back loop, loop right below, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Back loop, loop right below. So this is what my work looks like. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Go ahead and repeat that all across, and I'll show you guys one last time how to do this. I have one last stitch to make here. And here I'm done with row 4. To start row 5, we have to chain 1 and turn our work, skip the chain, and insert our hook in the back loop and in the loop right below it, and make a single crochet. Back loop, loop right below, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. So repeat these steps over and over again until you have the right amount of rows. I suggest you take out a pen, and every time you finish a row, you write it down, because this stitch can be confusing to count. Here I'm done with all of my rows, and for the people wondering, this is about 22 centimeters, which is about 8.5 inches, and on the other side it's about 3 inches, and in centimeters it's about 7 centimeters. What we're gonna do now is that we're gonna go around our base and make single crochets around it to build the pouch upwards. And how we're gonna do that is that we're going to insert our hook in these little loops like this. So if you turn your work sideways like this, you can see that there's one vertical loop like this, and then there's going to be a little braid with 2 loops. So we're going to insert our hook in this loop here, then we're gonna go onto the next one here, and then in here like this. So just to give you a heads up, we're gonna do 41 single crochets all across here. Then we're gonna do 15 single crochets here, then 41 single crochets here, and then 15 here, for a total of 112 stitches. All right, so we're gonna start with our first stitch. I'm going to insert my hook in the loop here and make a single crochet. Once you're done making your single crochet, make sure to put a stitch marker on your first stitch, just like this. We're gonna go to the next and insert our hook like this, make a single crochet, next one, single crochet, next one, single crochet. If a stitch is too tight, you can always take your needle and just shake it like this a little bit, and it's going to be easier to insert your hook in it. Alright, so I'm gonna do this all across here, and I'll see you guys when I reach the corner here. Alright, so here I have 3 stitches left to make. One here. The next one I have to do is kind of hard to see, but it's hidden in here. Here, and I have one last one to make on this last row. In here. So now I'm done making 41 single crochets on this side. What I'm going to do next is that I'm going to go ahead and crochet 15 single crochets in here. So here it's pretty easy because you can see the little braids. So we're going to insert our hook in the first little braid like this and make a single crochet there. Then you can go to the next braid like this and make a single crochet. So you're just going to continue making single crochets here until you reach the other corner. Alright, so I'm gonna see you guys when I reach the other corner here. Okay, I have 3 little stitches left to make on this side. 1, 2, and 3. And now we're gonna go back here and make 41 single crochets. So this is the row we just made, so we're going to start crocheting on this row here. So here is our first single crochet, and now we're gonna go on to the next stitch, and we're gonna do the same thing we did in the beginning. So we're gonna crochet in the first loop here like this and make 41 single crochets. So on the loop over here, insert your hook like this, single crochet, next little loop, okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this all across until I reach my corner here. All right, so I have 2 stitches left before I reach my corner. So 1 and 2, and now because we've reached the corner, we're gonna go back and make 15 single crochets. So my first one is a little bit hidden in here, but it's this one here. Then we're just going to continue like this all across. All right, so I have 2 stitches left to make, one here and one here. And so here is my last stitch. When you're done making your last stitch, you're gonna want to go ahead and take a stitch marker and put it in your last stitch, just like this. To finish this first round, we have to slip stitch in our first stitch. So take off your stitch marker, insert your hook, yarn over and pull through. Go ahead and take back your stitch marker and put it in the same place it used to be, which was in the first stitch of the round. So put it back in there, just like this. And then you're gonna have to chain 2 to start round 2. So chain 1 and 2. Now to explain the next step to you guys, I'm going to place a stitch marker here. You don't necessarily have to do this, it's just for you to understand well the next step. So every time we finish a round, we're going to have to chain 2 and turn our work. So right now this is what my work looks like. Because we're done with the first round, I'll have to turn my work. So I'm going to turn it like this. And as you can see, the last stitch of the previous round becomes the first stitch of the second round. So let me turn back how the work used to be. This used to be our last stitch, and because we turned our work, it has now become our first stitch of the round. All right, so from now on it's going to be pretty easy. We're going to make 15 rounds of double crochet. All right, so to start crocheting, we're gonna have to skip the 2 chains we just made and also skip the slip stitch we made, because if we crochet in here, we're going to mess up our stitch count. So skip your 2 chains, skip the slip stitch, and we're going to insert our hook where the stitch marker is. So take off the stitch marker, yarn over, skip the 2 chains and the slip stitch here, and insert your hook in the first stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 to make a double crochet. Go ahead and put back a stitch marker on your first stitch, just like this. And from now on, it's pretty easy. We're going to make double crochets in every stitch all around until we reach the other stitch marker here. So again, to make a double crochet, you have to yarn over, insert your hook in the stitch like this, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So you should have a total of 112 double crochets when you finish this round. Alright, so go ahead and make all of your double crochets, and I'll see you guys when I reach the end over here. Alright, so here I have 3 stitches left to make before I'm done with my second round. Here I'm going to take off my stitch marker to make my last stitch. I'm going to take back my stitch marker and put it in my last stitch. I'm then going to slip stitch in my first stitch, so I'm going to take off this purple stitch marker, insert my hook through my first stitch, yarn over and pull through all the loops on my hook. I'm going to put my stitch marker back in the same stitch, just like this. I'm going to chain 2 to start round 3, 1 and 2. And as I said before, every time you start a new row, you have to turn your work. So this is my work, I'm going to turn it. And what used to be our last stitch has now become our first stitch of the round. So to start, we're going to skip the 2 chains and skip the slip stitch and insert our hook where the stitch marker is. So take your stitch marker off. Then I'm going to skip these 2, the slip stitch, insert my hook there, and make my first double crochet. I'm going to take back my stitch marker and put it back in there. And I'm going to continue making double crochets in every stitch. Alright, so go ahead and make double crochets all around, and I'm going to show you one last time how to end a round and start a new one. Alright, so I have 3 stitches left to be done with this round. And here my last stitch, I'm going to take off my stitch marker and make my last stitch. And I'm going to put back my stitch marker in there. I'm going to go ahead and do a slip stitch in my first stitch. I'm going to take back my stitch marker and put it in the first stitch here, like this, chain 2, 1, 2, and again, because every time we finish a round we have to turn our work, I'm going to turn my work. And once again, to start this round we have to skip the 2 chains here and the slip stitch and insert our hook where the stitch marker is. So I'm going to take off my stitch marker, insert my hook there, and make my first double crochet of the round. And I'm gonna put back my stitch marker in there, and I'm just going to continue making double crochets like this all around. Alright, so go ahead and complete 15 rounds of double crochet. We already made 2 and started the 3rd one here. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that off camera, and I'm gonna see you guys when I'm done doing that. Alright, so here I'm done making my 15 rows of double crochet, and this is what it looks like. So to finish this round, I'm going to make a slip stitch. And then I'm going to pull some yarn, and I'm going to cut it over here. And the next thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to take this tail and pass it through the loop like this and pull. to make a little knot. So now that this is done, we can go on to the next step. The next step is going to be to sew the sides like this. So the little pouch has a little shape. So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna put some stitch markers to start. And so from our last stitch, we're going to count 8 stitches going back. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I put my stitch marker there. Now I'm gonna go back 8 stitches, and here I am in the first stitch of the round that I made, and I'm going to count 8 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Put a stitch marker there, and we're gonna repeat that 2 more times. So I'm gonna skip the stitch that my stitch marker is in. I'm gonna go to the one after that, and I'm going to start counting 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Put a stitch marker there. And we're gonna do that one last time. I'm gonna skip this stitch where the stitch marker is, go to the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm gonna put a stitch marker there. So this is going to help us know how to fold our pouch. So it's going to be something like this. We're gonna go and place the stitch markers on the other side. So we're going to skip this stitch here and start counting on the other one, and we're going to count 25. So I'm gonna skip the stitch that my stitch marker is in and start counting here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So I'm going to put a stitch marker on the 25th stitch, just like this. I'm gonna do the same thing on this side here. I'm gonna skip this stitch and start on the one after. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Now we have 2 stitch markers left to place. From my stitch marker here, my blue stitch marker, I'm going to count 16. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. And I'm going to put a stitch marker there. And then when that's done, we're going to skip this stitch where the stitch marker is and go to the next one and count 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Put a stitch marker there. And now we're done placing our stitch markers. The next step is going to be to take your darning needle and cut about a meter tail of yarn like this. I'm going to pass the yarn through. Now what we're going to do is that we're going to fold it. So we're going to fold this like this, and then this like that. You don't need to fold this really precisely, just fold it like this. So there's like 8 stitches here, 8 stitches here, 8 stitches here, 8 stitches here. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is that we're going to take our needle and pass it through the first stitch here. The next step is going to be to pass the needle through the stitch right before this stitch marker here. So I'll pass it here, and then once that's done, we're also going to pass it through the stitch that this stitch marker is in. So I'm going to take off my stitch marker because it's going to be easier. So I'm going to take it off and pass my needle through there too, like this. The next step is going to be to pass it through the last stitch marker on the other end here. So that's the first thing we're gonna do. And then from now it's going to be pretty easy. We're gonna go to the next stitch right next to our stitch. Then we're gonna go on to the next stitch here, then the next stitch here, and the next stitch over here, and pass our yarn through again. Next stitch right next to it, next stitch right next to it, next stitch here, and next stitch here. So we're basically going to repeat this 8 times. So we already did 3. The next one here is going to be number 4, like this. Number 5 here. Number 6. Number 7. And number 8. And now I'm going to take off this stitch marker. And now what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to go back again another time. So because we finished on this side, I'm going to go ahead and start on this other side, because if I re-put my needle here, it's going to undo the last little stitch that I made. So I'm going to start on the other side like this, and do again like 8 little stitches. This doesn't need to be really precise, it's just to secure the stitches better. So just like this. Alright, so now that this is done, I'm going to pass the little remaining tails of yarn inside of the pouch. So I'm going to pass this here. I'm going to take this tail from the beginning, and I'm also going to pass it inside of the pouch. And now I can make a knot with these 2 tails and weave them in. So this is now what it looks like. We have a little cute shape here. And so we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. So again, just fold your work like this. And redo the same thing we just did. Alright, so now I'm done doing the 2 sides, and we were left off with a little opening. Alright, so we have like 2 or 3 more steps to go before we're done. What you're gonna want to do now is take back again 2 strands of yarn, and if you remember, we left off 24 stitches here and 24 stitches there. What we're gonna do now is that we're gonna make 4 rows of 24 single crochets on each side. So I'm going to insert my hook here in the first stitch right next to the stitch marker. Then I'm going to take my 2 strands of yarn and pull them through. I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to insert my hook back again in the same stitch and make a single crochet. And that's going to be the first stitch of the row. If you want, you can always put a stitch marker on your first and last stitch. Alright, so that's 1. I'm going to go on to the next stitch and make a single crochet. Next stitch, single crochet. Next stitch, single crochet. So you have a total of 24 single crochets to make. So I'm going to continue doing this, and I'm gonna see you guys when I reach the corner over here. Alright, so I'm done doing 24 single crochets. I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work, and we're gonna start the second row of single crochets. So skip the chain you just made and insert your hook in the first stitch and make a single crochet. You can put a stitch marker there if you want, and just continue making single crochets in every stitch all across. Alright, so I'm done with my second row of single crochets. I'm going to chain one, turn my work, skip the chain and insert my hook in the first stitch and make a third row of single crochets. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the 2 remaining rows off camera and I'll see you guys when I'm done. Alright, so I'm now done making my 4 rows of single crochets. We can actually take these stitch markers off on these extremities. The next thing we're gonna do is that we're gonna pull some yarn and cut it here. Take the tail and pass it through the loop and pull to make a little knot. And you can go ahead and weave it inside of your work. So this little part actually is going to be flipped inside like this, and it's going to help us close the pouch, and it looks just a lot cleaner like this. So go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. So make 4 rows of 24 single crochets on this side too. Alright, so I'm now done doing the 2 sides like this. And now the next step is to put on some buttons. So I have here a needle and now I'm going to take my magnetic button. And how I'm going to place this is that I count 5 stitches. So here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I place my button there like this. So I have 5 stitches here on the left, and then I start sewing it. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and sew this one in. So now I'm done putting my first button. I'm going to do the same exact thing. So I'm going to skip over 5 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to put my button there. And I'm gonna start to sew it. So here I'm done putting my 2 buttons. I'm going to flip over my work and do the same thing on this side. So now I'm done putting my buttons, so I can flip this inside of my work. Same thing on the other side, and we can attach them together just like this. So we're pretty much done right now. The only thing we have left to do is put some ribbons here to make it cuter. Alright, so we're now going to put the little bow on our work. So what I do is that I take a bigger needle and pass my ribbon through. I'm then going to pass my needle through some of the stitches here. There's no specific way necessarily to do this. So I do this and I leave about 25 centimeters here. And so I pass it like this. Then once I got it over on the 2 sides, so I bring the ribbon over like this and restart the process. So now that's again on the other side. I'm just going to restart and just repeat this. Once you get to the other corner like this, you're going to restart the same progress and stop midway. So here I'm going to stop. So when you're done putting this one here in the middle, you're going to grab the other side of the ribbon and bring it to the middle also. So here both little tails are in the middle. So I'm just going to make a small knot and then make the bow. So here I think I made a mistake and I measured 20 centimeters instead of 25. So I'm missing a little bit of length here. So I think I'm just gonna restart it, but it's pretty much how I make my little bows. So I'm just gonna go ahead and restart this one. So when you're done putting your bows and weaving in all of your ends, you're officially done with your pencil case or makeup bag. This can really be whatever you want it to be. You can really fit a lot of stuff in this little pouch. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed your little crochet session. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more crochet tutorials and vlogs. So thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you guys on another video. Bye.